games like the Astros and the A's did last night. Is that a possibility for your game against the Chiefs? Have you heard anything about it, and how would you feel about it?
So we've had some good discussions. I would say anything's possible. I think that just speaking for the Houston Texans, really proud of these guys that are on our team. We have a lot of really good veteran guys that are really passionate about football, really passionate about what's going on in the world. The thing that really strikes me, as a coach, you're always in a rush, right? You're always in a rush. You want to make sure everything's going well, and you're thinking about the next day, the next play, the next 3 plays from that. But these players, they're not in a rush. Our players are really thoughtful. They want to think about things. They don't want to rush to make any decisions on anything. It's been really enlightening for me. Today in the squad meeting, we had a good squad meeting, and we'll see how it goes, John. But I wouldn't be able to make any predictions. I just know that our team's going to practice today, and our team, we feel good about where we're at after the scrimmage, and we're just going to keep plugging away.
I wanted to ask you about that in light of 12 games, being 12 games out. How do you feel about where you guys are right now, and what do you feel the best about the team?
Yeah, look, I like this team. I really enjoy coaching this team. I think we have guys that really pay attention. They care about the team. They ask good questions. They practice hard. They do what we ask them to do from top to bottom, right? You got player 1 to player 80. I really, couldn't say to you we got 5 guys that, aren't doing what they're supposed to do. I really couldn't. I think every guy on this team is really trying to do what we're asking them to do. They show up on time. They, like I said, they pay attention. They try to fix the details of the play. If they make a mistake, they try to get better. And, that's all I can go by right now. I mean, we've got a very tough opener. We've got a very tough opening schedule. But that's the National Football League. So, we're working hard, and we're trying to get better every day. And I really believe that we're getting better every day.
Aaron Wilson.
Good morning, Bill.
Hey, Aaron.
Bill, when you think about rosters and you're getting closer to that time, how much is the contingency plans in terms of everything with this year and the extra guys? Is it helpful with the extra spots you'll have? And do you feel like there might be less of people wanting to add people from outside their team that they had in camp in terms of their practice squad, just because of the lack of familiarity, no preseason games?
Yeah, interesting question. I mean, I think that's something we talk about every night, Jack and I and Matt Bazergan. Basically, when you guys are out at practice, I would say, for all intents and purposes, this is our team, right? I mean, you've got 80 guys. You've got, you're going to have 53 plus 16. So, you're talking about maybe 10 spots there that, but, again, there's different avenues because of the roster flexibility that's in place this year. Like I said, I like the guys that are on our team. I think from top to bottom, these guys have really poured everything they've had into a weird year. I mean, think about it, right? They come in every morning, they get tested for the coronavirus. Then they gotta, then they go to lift, then they go to meetings and then walkthroughs, and then they practice. Then we go home and we Zoom meet. I mean, we actually we Zoom meet. I mean, think about that for a second. This is a different year, right? And I just really, for me, there's definitely an attachment to a lot of these guys because I believe that they've done everything that I've asked them to do. And so I think, when you're out there at practice, I know you are every day, Aaron, you're looking at our team. Now, how we use guys and do different things, that'll be game plan wise. But, of course, we could always do, obviously we've done some things over the last couple of years, brought some guys in, moved some guys out. But, I think you're looking at the majority of the players on our practice field. That's our team.
Thanks. And a follow-up, do you have any update on Cullen Gillespie and Kiki Kuti, how they're doing?
I think Cullen's doing a lot better. He ran on the field and reached some pretty good speeds. But I wouldn't say he'd be out there today. Kiki, I think, is going to try to do some stuff today.
Aaron Reese.
Bill, as you enter kind of this final phase before roster cutdowns, what position groups do you feel like you have the most still to learn and kind of figure out during this week of practice?
I think you're always learning, Aaron. I mean, I don't think that there's one position group that you're looking at and you're saying, got to learn more. But I think, because we watch so much film and we study it together as a staff, we have a pretty good feel of the depth in each position. But I do think every day you're learning something because somebody, like the other night, anybody that was at that scrimmage that knows anything about football saw AJ Moore, right? AJ Moore did a lot of good things in that scrimmage, right? I mean, Jacob Martin. And so now it's more about how you use guys, like how would you deploy these guys from week to week because of their unique skill sets, Lonnie Johnson, the receivers. So I think that's more about what we're looking at. I think we have a good feel for each position.
And how is the schedule going to change this week for you guys, if at all? Just with camp now kind of being over and shifting back into the regular season mode.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to continue. We're going to do it basically like last week, I would say. I would say it's very similar with the exception of maybe moving the scrimmage up a day relative to last week. So the scrimmage we'll have another scrimmage similar to the way we did the scrimmage the other night, but it'll be on Wednesday. So because I believe we got to get the roster down on Thursday. So, but it'll be basically like last week.
Sean.
Morning, Bill.
Hey, Sean.
I guess just sort of a follow-up to Aaron Wilson's question about the roster and roster construction. I know a lot of us on this call go through the exercise throughout the preseason at various points and say, this is what we think the 53-man roster for the Texans would be if they had to play in week one.
Right.
I'm just curious how you and the staff go about that throughout training camp. Is that an exercise that you guys go through at certain periods, getting that granular with this would be our 53, or is that something that doesn't come into focus more for you until this week when you've got to make those decisions?
No, it definitely comes into focus sooner than this week. I mean, we talk about it. I mean, it doesn't come into focus right after the first day. It's got to play out a little bit, but I would say last week we started talking about relative to myself and Jack and Matt and then the coordinators, just say this is how we see it right now. But then, then you go out and the next day, somebody, has a good day at a certain position. And you're like, well, you could do this. And, some of the questions that you ask yourself, hey, does this guy have practice squad eligibility? Where is this guy contractually? There's a lot that goes into those decisions. You're not trying to necessarily pick an all-star 53. You're trying to pick the best 53. What is the best 53? Obviously, it changes during the year based on injuries or roster moves that you may decide to make. But no, we have that. That's probably the last thing we do every night before we leave is we go through, okay, each guy on the roster and how does that guy fit relative to 53, game day roster, and then practice squad. We kind of look at it that way every night.
Mark Berman.
Hey, Bill, it looked like DeAndre Carter got a lot of touches during your scrimmage. Could you talk about what he's doing right now, what he's showing you?
DeAndre is a very solid player. I mean, he just works. He's very consistent. He just does a lot of things pretty well. He can obviously return kicks. He's very smart. He's just a very solid guy. And so quarterbacks have confidence in him. They know that he's going to be where he's supposed to be. They know that he's going to know his assignment. Just a really consistent guy. He's had a good camp. And he's out there every day. I think that's the deal. This league is so much about health, and some of that is not being lucky. Some guys just aren't. Some guys just avoid it and take care of their bodies, and other guys take care of their bodies but just can't avoid it. I think because DeAndre is out there every single day, he just gets better and better. That's why you see him.
I'll take two more. Sarah.
Bill, when you're talking about the roster again, how much do you focus on a contingency plan for what could happen because of COVID and build your 53 that way? Or is it just if this happens, we'll have to adjust, and because you don't want to make you want to keep your best 53, not necessarily your best 53 for if someone gets ill. How much is that conversation are you guys having?
Yeah, you definitely think about that. And yeah, no doubt about it. At certain positions, you're going to think about, well, wait a second now. If God forbid something happened where 3 or 4 guys, contracted the virus, do you have the right depth there? Do you have the right guys in the right spot? Do you have the right guys on the 53, the right guys on the practice squad, the right guys on the game day route? That's definitely part of the conversation. But it's hard, Sarah, because there's a lot of unknowns. We've actually created a really good bubble here, like a lot of teams have. We have a really good bubble. We've, knock on wood, we've had no positives, and Jeff Kaplan and his crew and Roland Ramirez and Dr. Muntz, they've done an unbelievable job of educating these guys. These guys, give the guys credit, our staff and players. But when the regular season starts, I think that's a different conversation. So you have to make sure that you have your bases covered as best you can.
Last one for John.
Bill, how much harder is it for you and the personnel people and coaches to evaluate players this year compared to previous years when you got to see them in games and joint practices?
Yeah, it's definitely challenging. I think every team's going through that, though. So it's not like you're the only team. I think that's a big deal. I mean, the NFL is a very, it's a competitively balanced league. And, so I think everybody's going through that. You don't have, a lot of guys, it's funny. Like, I'll give you an example. The TCU kid that we brought in, Cordell Wagu, right? When he was in T-shirts and shorts, it didn't look very good. But then when we put the pads on and he started practicing, it kind of looked pretty good, relative to where he is, Some of these guys, like when the pads go on, or in the past in preseason games, maybe they didn't look great in practice, but all of a sudden in a game, they had a knack for making plays. They showed up in a game. Well, you don't have that this year. So you've got to go off of practice. And so, we're trying to do that. We're putting guys in position. Our guys are, we're trying to have high tempo practices where, we can really evaluate, and that's what we're doing. I think that's, that's the way we're approaching it.
Thank you.
Bill.
Thank you, guys.